let's make lemonade. Okay. Let's go to work.
That's the signal. Go. Six. It's beautiful. Mother Nature just pissed her pants, dude!
Start your day with a jolt of energy and no-holds-barred opinions. This is The Rush, where Travis Justice and Ross Peterson bring you bold, unfiltered, and uncensored takes on sports, life, and everything in between. Buckle up and let's go.
The Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive, is a radio show where two guys get together each and every day and just have personal conversations and occasionally talk about sports. Good to have you along this morning. Thank you for joining in our conversation. If you're listening on the audio stream at therushradio.com or on the Android app, thank you so much. YouTubers, what's up there, folks? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give this video a like. Start leaving your comments in the comment section. You can follow us on X at Rush Mornings, like our Facebook page, The Rush with Travis and Ross. And, of course, follow us on Instagram, The Rush Radio Show. Hello there, Ross Peterson.
You two are welcome to be a voyeur as these two idiots entertain themselves.
That's basically what it is, right? It's us. And now during the summer months, you never know what's going to happen in the summer. I mean, there's not a lot of sports going on. The Iowa basketball team started practice yesterday. That was apparently big news. As Ben McCullers got the team together at Carver Hawkeye Arena, got the circle with everybody hugging and showing that camaraderie. But it's just practice, and it's summer practice, and well, we can.
Don't you think? Let's start there for just a second, because don't you think that's kind of part of Ben? I'm not being a smartass here. Don't you think part of Ben McCullers' thing yesterday is like, hey guys, band is back together. By the way, that rain you were talking about,
yes,
just showed up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's going to be heavy. You're going to get lightning. You're going to get thunder. You're going to get all sorts of stuff. I'm just happy I don't have to water my yard today. I've had the sprinkler on the last couple of days.
Pouring right now. Just hit us. So don't you think that's part of the conversation, though? Like, hey, guys, new digs, different playground, same playmates.
All I'm thinking is...
And to you new guys, welcome aboard. We've been doing this for a couple years, and look, here's how we do it.
All I'm thinking is these poor kids don't even get a summer vacation. They got to go practice. What happened to the good old days when I got 3 months off and I had to show back up and get back into shape? No,
it's real. Like, what about the school? They're done with school.
No, if I'm a coach, I'm saying, fellas, you're taking summer school because I need you to take 9 or 12 hours of credit hours during the season, so you don't have to go to class as much and you can spend more time on basketball.
And I guess for some of them, he can say, and if you want the check, if we're gonna pay, we get to say.
And the amount of work these guys put in all seriousness, this is another reason why I probably changed my thought on, and you helped persuade me on players getting paid, because it is a year-round job now. There used to be a time when you saw these summer workouts, they weren't as organized as it was like, hey, go play in the summer league and stay in shape, but we'll meet you back here in the fall when practice starts. Yeah. Now you are really doing organized stuff year round. And when you ask somebody to give up that much time, you deserve to be compensated for it. And I understand that now. I was blind to that for a long time, but and we kind of poke fun at the photos. It's good that they're working out. I mean, there is a new chemistry. There is a new process. You have to learn a coach's style. I totally get that. But that was the big Instagram post from the Iowa Athletic Department yesterday, was the basketball team practicing. We're still not, November is when the season starts, but we're talking basketball right now, man. That's how excited we are.
Travis, every sport is a 12-month sport from about 10 on.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, by the time you're at college and you're talking about $1 million industry, $1 million entity in Iowa, multi-million dollar. Yeah, let's get real here.
I was thinking about you yesterday, and I said, hey, I needed to tell you something right before we went on the air, and I said, hey, we'll just have the conversation on the air. So we'll go ahead and do that. And that is, I'm on vacation next week, and my plan is or was to do the show every day from Fort Robinson State Park in western Nebraska. Then I realized a couple things. A, I'm in the Mountain Time Zone. So
you'd be up at 4 a.m.
I know I'm going to be up at 3 a.m. if that's the case, getting ready for the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then the show for me would start at 5 a.m., which I don't think anybody in the house...
Is this your way of telling me you're taking next week off?
Well, no, I'm going to be here on Monday for sure. But then I forgot, because I've been to Fort Robinson several times, and the Wi-Fi, there's no Wi-Fi in the house. And the cell coverage is very, like when I would do the phoners in the past, I would have to walk like clear up into the buttes just to get a cell phone signal. So yesterday I started looking at Starlink. I'm like, well, maybe I'll buy a Starlink and have just bring Wi-Fi to the place. Well, that's a pretty hefty investment for.
Well, maybe we should think about this.
Okay.
Maybe we should just split the Starlink.
Oh.
Because I'm going to be going to Canada here in a month for a week.
That's a good idea.
I'm going to be up in northern Wisconsin for a couple days at the end of July.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just split the Starlink.
That might
Let's talk
not
about
be
that.
That might, and we could both write half of it off on our taxes.
Because truth be told, that'd be cheaper than me paying Justin to do the show next week.
Yeah.
And I love Justin. I love Justin, but it would. True story, it'd be just as much money, and then you could do the show, and then we'd be set up for, because I'm getting ready to go to my provider to figure out what I can do when I go to Canada, because I was thinking about that the other day too. I'm like, I could go and plug in on the router up at the island, but then nobody else can use the internet while I'm doing that. And then second of all, really about 7:30, the right thing to do would be to unplug and let you know what I mean? Because everybody's going to be up and moving around and want to check their.
So if anybody has Starlink out there, 515-517-2303, because I want to know the reliability of the Starlink and what you all need, because they make it look so easy. And commercials and advertising does this. Just open the box, point at the sky, and you have internet. That's all they say.
Yeah, you don't even need wires. It just you just automatically stuff. You plug in Starlink and you go, Google.
Do I need a router as well to make the Wi-Fi signal go like around? And and if you have Starlink, does it have good coverage of upload download speed? Because I gotta consider that. But that's a good idea if we go halvesies on the Starlink. We go, all right. That way I just come up and deliver when you get ready to go to Canada or you go to Wisconsin.
We figured that out.
Now they have a Starlink that's made for like the house, and then they have like
the mobile.
For you RVers out there. But you got to buy the Starlink hardware, which is, that little flat solar panel type looking thing that you just point at the sky.
Yeah.
And then you got to buy it. You can get packages, I think, where you can buy by the month. So if we know if you're going to be gone for a week, we got to buy a month. It's like $80.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Let's look into that. That could be a fun little toy for us to have too.
Then we'll send like Ken Payne and our good friends at Choice Creative out to say, hey, sell an internet sponsor. Just our Starlink sponsor is like.
I've used Starlink before.
Oh, really?
Up in northern Wisconsin. Do you remember this?
No, I don't remember.
Oh yeah, in the middle of my stuff, dude. I had to use the Starlink internet from northern Wisconsin.
Well, did it work pretty well?
Perfectly. Yep, perfectly. So anyway, I like that idea.
Justin says it's a very good connection. You may need a router. I'm not using it on a construction site. I'm using it in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally the middle of nowhere. I started going down the Starlink rabbit hole. I know people hate Elon Musk, and you hate him because he's associated. At one point, you loved him because he was the innovator that was changing the world. Then he associates himself with the one guy, and you're like, I hate this guy. But the fact that if you look at Starlink, and what it does by providing internet to basically the world if you're out in the middle of nowhere, and to third world countries that can't run fiber through their sand-ridden lands. Right now, I think he has like 7,000 satellites up in the air in low orbit, just providing internet for the world. His goal is to get 30,000 satellites up, Ross, which will be the largest constellation of satellites.
Have you ever seen this? Have you ever been out in the wilderness and seen the Starlinks go over the top of your head?
No, I haven't.
Dude,
I have light pollution in the city that I
live
in.
Yeah, that's why I was asking. So, because when we're up on the island in Canada, you do see it. Oh, our buddy Tyrell had one of the great lines of all time. This is what goes through your head the first time you see it. We're out by the campfire, and off on the horizon, you can see him coming. And it looks like an alien invasion. You see this line of lights. You're like, there's a shooting star or a satellite moving. Wait, there's 2. There's 3. And it keeps going and going and going. And all of a sudden there's this, Travis, it's a string of like 20 lights. It looks like a string of pearls being pulled through the sky. And you're watching it. And we're standing there by the campfire, and Tyrell looks up at it and he's like, "What is that?" And we're like, that's the Starlink satellites. That's Elon Musk. And Tyrell just looks off into the distance and he goes, "He fucks with aliens." We're like, yeah, he probably does. He probably does.
Not only is it Starlink, it's like a defense shield from keeping UFOs getting into, the Earth's orbit. This is how dumb I am. And I'm a dumb human being. I pretend to be smart. I'm not smart at all. How do, like, those satellites, you mentioned they're like on a string of pearls. How do they stay in like that perfect line without being connected by a wire? You're like, you don't move. You don't move. I don't know how that happens.
You really just need to see it to believe it. I'm not kidding you. The first time you see it, you think that's an alien. Those are spaceships flying across the sky. They kind of are. They kind of are.
Space, the final frontier. Crazy stuff.
Elon Musk.
And Elon gets all the credit, right? I mean, you have to think
true.
of this stuff.
That's true.
I mean, somebody was talking about this the other day. They're like, that Elon Musk is the smartest guy in the world. Did you see how he landed a rocket, on a barge? Yeah, that wasn't Elon. I mean, he had the idea. He hires the best people who know how to make that stuff happen.
There you go. Very smart.
So what Elon has is a vision, and the most crucial part of the equation, money. Just saying. So you have the vision, and then you have the money, and then you go hire a bunch of people. So Starlink might be the way to go. But I got to make sure I can get the hardware. I'm going to run to Best Buy. I don't know if they have it at Best Buy, and see if they have like the RV one. That way we might be able to do some radio from the middle of nowhere in cowboy country.
Yeah. If not, we'll figure it out.
Remember yesterday when I was drinking coffee on the show and I spilt it all over the place?
Yeah, you spilled it. We weren't on the show yet. This is before we went. This is before we were on. I think it was before we were on, because I remember you did it and it was like you had like a really big reaction to it. I thought it was something bad. You knocked your coffee over onto your keyboard yesterday.
Yes. And I thought I got it all dried up. Now I'm going to let all the jokes get out of the way. So I sit down this morning, start getting ready for the show, start typing, and the buttons
sticky keyboard,
all sticky
keyboard. Just not your first time.
No, see, that's why I was going to let you get it all out of the way.
That's the only one.
Just going to let you get it all out of the way. Yeah. So the G, H, K, N, and V are like super, super sticky.
Yeah.
But call me crazy. I'm trying to figure out why it's sticky, because I just thought coffee was water with brown stuff in it. I didn't think there'd be any sugar.
The stick was sugar. Yeah.
So are you telling me there's sugar in coffee?
Well, no, but when coffee dries, it leaves that film.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, dude. Did you know that that keyboard has a name? Did you know? This was information to me when I learned
its
about
name
it.
Isn't keyboard?
It's not. There's a name for that layout that has that ASDFG. You know what I mean? When you're a kid, it's like, this makes zero sense at all. Tyler's got it. I did not know this, Travis. Look in the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard.
Okay, I got it.
QWERTY.
QWERTY?
That is called the QWERTY layout. Yeah, that's literally what that's called. I didn't know that either. Didn't know that had a name.
Is that just because you look down and that's the first word you see?
I think it is because it's literally the only word you can make out of the layout. But it is a layout based on the how often the letters are used in the English language.
So if I'm playing Scrabble and I use the word QWERTY, do I get points for that? Is that an actual word?
It's an actual word now. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Just like Twitter. Twitter was at one point not a word, and now it is.
Who invented said keyboard?
The QWERTY guy. Mr. QWERTY. Maybe Mrs. had a hand in it also.
And now it seems so natural to me. I mean, did you take? Well, you're probably too young,
dude. I learned how to type on a word processor.
Okay, I learned to type on a GE Electrolux.
Yeah, when we had typewriters. I took typewriter class.
Okay. Well, hold on. Typewriter class? I mean, did you use an actual typewriter?
It used an actual typewriter.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were probably one of the last ones at East High School.
Yes, we were.
Because the Apple IIe was just coming into my high school with a big old floppy disk that we would save, in computer screens that were green, and you use like dot matrix code, I believe it was. But I learned on a GE Electrolux where you learned how to center, you backspace twice and all that stuff. But I was a pretty good typer. I look at all the classes I took in high school. And now, sure, I didn't do math very well. I didn't do science very well. I'm so glad I learned to type. I still see today Hunt and Peckers, right? And he's like, I'm like, how do you do that? And it just becomes very natural that's the way the alphabet is for me.
That the hands sit down and they know what they're doing. That just goes into muscle memory stuff.
Yes.
How about this, dude? Guy that invented the QWERTY keyboard was from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Is that right? Kenosha? Yeah. Kenosha?
Don't you know? Kenosha, don't you know?
Yeah, but how did he know that muscle memory would be?
He didn't. Johnny's got it. The guy's name was Christopher Latham Scholes. Invented it in 1867. He was a newspaper editor and printer. And I think it probably just came up with, it doesn't really make sense though, because to say like, well, it's based on how often you use the letters. No, because your pointer finger in your right hand is on J. That's one of the least used letters, but it works.
Maybe that's why, because if you think about it, if it was like, think about the fingers that you actually use and the ones, and those are probably the most used letters that are easiest to get to, because the numbers are hard for me,
But not really, Travis, because if you think about this is such a weird conversation.
This is why I like this show.
Your pointer finger's on the J and your pinky finger rests on the semicolon. So it's not like it's laid out so that your fingers are on the keys that you're going to use the most. Anyway, smarter than me, dude. Who came up with it? Somebody smarter than me. And glad he did.
Yeah, because now it's just, we just accept. Now, my question is this. And I don't know this because I've never typed on a keyboard overseas. But if I go to Italy and you go to Portugal, you go to Spain, is a keyboard laid out in the same way? Like, is the Italian A?
Well, they have a different alphabet.
Yeah, so how's it laid out? Is it laid out?
Totally different.
Do they come here and go, what the hell is this?
Yeah. They recognize the numbers.
Yeah, I know the numbers. Do they have a different alphabet? Ross slowly backs out of the screen.
I don't know.
I mean, because, when you use the Google Translate, you say, translate this, it comes up in normal letters for us. And I know, like, the Chinese, the Japanese, they have a different alphabet. But I don't know about the Italians, the Portuguese. What other, the French?
I don't know.
You're supposed to help me here, man.
I don't know.
You're supposed to help me.
I gave you all the information that I thought I had.
See, we asked the tough questions here. We reached Ross is in his mid to late 40s. I'm in my mid 50s, and we're asking these questions. And we probably should have asked in grammar school.
These are the things we still wonder about. The world is still such a mystery.
It really is. I remember being at an internet cafe in Italy in 2009, and I think the keyboard was the same, but I think they were catering to Americans. I think they knew the Americans would be the only one that would use the internet cafe, so therefore they're going to get an American keyboard. Keyboard's ours, damn it. I still don't know what the control function window keys mean. Function F8. What the hell is that? I don't know.
It's okay. We'll figure it out someday. Someday we're all going to know. Take one of those little shortcut maps on our keyboard. There are 2 NFL stories that are rabbit holes. Can we or you got stuff you want to get in? I know you had a whole show you sent me. Yeah, you want to talk about College World Series?
No, I want to talk about college softball.
I'm sorry, not College World Series. What do we call it? Is it the women's?
It's the women's College
World Series.
Okay. The WCWS, the Women's College World Series.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work for you?
WCWS? You can't put 2 W's in something. You're throwing too many syllables at me. There's too many syllables. We got to come up with something better. Can't we just call it the WCS?
Okay, Women's College Series?
It would throw the world. You can still say the world, but we could just call it the WCS, and that makes it easier.
Okay.
Anyway, we're talking. You wanted to talk a lot about college softball and their national championship.
Not necessarily about college softball, but there's a couple interesting stories that go with college softball that kind of fall into our normal topic that we talk about, which is NIL. And I want to bring up the Deloitte story again, which happens to do with determining worth and fair market value, because there is an interesting story around that. But that can wait till the next half hour.
Okay.
Because we can go down that rabbit hole. It's a big rabbit hole. But what was your NFL rabbit hole?
There were 2 of them that I found kind of interesting today. One of them. So I guess I'm not as familiar with AJ Cole as I need to be. The Raiders punter, who's apparently quite a character. And I'm not familiar, and I don't watch enough Raiders media.
What's up with punters? Pat McAfee was a punter. They're different dudes. They're funny dudes.
He just became the highest paid punter in the NFL. Signed a 4-year extension with the Raiders, and so you know what happens, man. Guys get those big checks. They start buying those big ticket items, right? And we've heard of guys that go all lavish. buy
house,
mom
car,
a mansion. Yeah,
jewelry.
right. Several Lamborghinis, whatever. AJ Cole, at his press conference, they asked him, hey, what'd you do with the money? He says, well, all my plants died, so I re-landscaped my yard. Shout out to Antonio from Moon Valley Nurseries. I'm really excited. I get to stay here and watch those plants grow up, because I don't know if you guys have bought plants before, but they're really, really expensive. And so, yeah, that was a big ticket purchase for me. A couple of new queen palm trees in the backyard and a couple of sweet bay laurels on the side.
He's not wrong about plants costing a lot of money. You know, we got the graduation party coming up this weekend, and my wife has taken it upon herself to decide that we need a lot of flowers in the flower beds and we need mulch all around the house. I mean, you go to a flower shop and you get like 4 things of flowers and you're like $60. I'm like, what are we doing here? These things are just going to die. Can we get some annuals or some perennials so they just come back? Annuals die. I need perennials in here. Plant stuff that comes back. Don't plant stuff that just dies. Because we're spending money year in and year out. And I come in the home yesterday, they're putting down mulch. Hey, do you want to help? No, I don't. Bought 20 bags of mulch. Just so it looks better when people show up. I just had leaves in there that had fallen from the year before. I said, that's just natural mulch. No, that's just lazy from not raking. No, I go, that's ground cover.
Yeah. There's a strategy.
Yes. Don't you see what I'm doing here? It's brown. It starts to decompose. Looks good. I like we're going all natural.
Some people do no mow May. I do no rake ever.
Oh, I pay somebody to rake.
Oh, okay.
I pay, but you know, I've got these 5 oak trees that just produce massive amounts, and a lot of them go behind our shrubs. And I'm like, I'll just leave that. That creates natural mulch for me. Dog can go pee in there, not leave a brown spot in the yard. It's perfect.
If the whole yard's brown, nobody notices the brown spot.
Yeah. Because our side yard is now, you know, getting rebuilt with the retaining wall and stuff. So he's been going out in the front yard. I've got brown spots on. I'm like, what's in your pee that just kills the grass?
Dog pee is, destroys grass.
It does, and very, very quickly. 515-517-2303 if you want to chime in with us. Also, if you want to win a pair of tickets to go to the Iowa Craft Beer Fest, I like what kind of happened yesterday. And we had a listener reach out and says, hey, do you have any craft beer tickets? And I kind of like the social media thing. We could do the phone call thing. We may do that later in the week because we have tickets to give away all this week. We gave away a pair yesterday. We gave a couple pair away last week. But reach out to us on X, or reach out and just say, hey, I want to go to the Iowa Craft Beer Fest. If you do, we'll send you a DM. Not everybody will randomly select it, and then we'll send you some tickets. Because you sent somebody some tickets yesterday, right?
Was it yesterday? Over the weekend, somebody reached out and asked if we had a pair, and so I forwarded that to Ken and just said, hey, can we can hook this listener up, right?
Sometimes if you ask nicely, you reap the benefits of just reaching out and going, hey guys, can I go? And then we say, sure, you can go. It is the Rush Radio Show at powered by Willis Radio, or Willis Automotive at therushradio.com.
Your house wasn't built for bats, birds, or raccoons, but try telling them that. At Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions, we've been helping Iowans take back their homes for over 20 years. We use cost-effective, eco-friendly methods to solve wildlife and pest problems the right way. Whether it's bats in your attic, birds in the vents, raccoons in your chimney, or moles in your yard, we have long-term solutions. Call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400, and let's make sure your home doesn't become their home.
The Royal Mile, where everyone's a wee bit British. The Royal Mile is downtown Des Moines' living room with classic pub favourites. Pair them with a glass of whiskey or an expertly poured Guinness. It's bloody brilliant. The Royal Mile, a proper British pub.
There's always something new at Fong's Pizza. The patio is open and ready for you, your friends, and an ever-changing menu of tiki drinks. Or try our new noodle dishes alongside your favorite slice. It's all happening this summer at the new Fong's in the East Village.
Thinking about buying a home? Get pre-approved in 30 minutes with Gary Presnell at Northwest Bank in Des Moines. Gary offers first-time home buyers programs, VA, FHA, IFA, and conventional loans. Call Gary at 515-975-6767 or find his profile at nw.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
You know, Brian, at Central City, we really do have the best selection around.
I know. High-quality stuff you can't find anywhere else.
Whistle Pig Plantation Rum.
Yeah, and over 150 of the best scotches on earth.
And a ton of bitters, mixers, and more.
You know what we are? High class.
Definitely high class, yeah. Make way for the natty.
Okay, maybe medium class.
Central City Liquor is home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the Wooden Nickel program.
Hey everybody, this is Mason Miller, sales manager out here at Willis Infinity. We got some great stuff going on this month. Right now, you can get up to $4,000 off on a new QX80 and enjoy 2.9% for 60 months. On top of that, this month, you can enjoy 1.9% out to 60 months, an additional $1,000 off of a new QX60. For more information, stop at our showroom or visit us online at willisinfinity.com.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
The best bread is made from scratch, freshly baked with locally sourced ingredients and love. At Big Sky Bakery, we take great pride in our delicious products. We know you'll enjoy them almost as much as we enjoy baking them. Find us at the downtown Des Moines Farmers Market every Saturday.
Back like a rash you thought was gone. Travis and Ross aren't contagious, but they are addictive. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
Ross, did Eli go through your core power yet? Did he?
No. Thank God. No, I'm more for the coffee this morning.
Attaboy. If you want your protein fix and healthy protein with Fairlife milk, that is absolutely wonderful. Pick up a bottle of Core Power today, brought to you by Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company. It is the protein boost that will pick you up. Get the vanilla, you get the chocolate, get the strawberry, get the 26 grams of protein, get the 42 grams of protein. Take it from us. You will not be disappointed if you need that protein boost. So Core Power from Atlantic Coca-Cola Bottling Company. All right, we don't talk a lot of college softball on this show, but I thought it would be interesting to bring up what happened. There's really two stories that are coming out of this. First of all, the Women's College World Series, or the WCWS.
Women's College World Series is almost as many syllables as the WCWS.
Texas Tech beat Oklahoma yesterday 3-2. That's significant because Oklahoma is not in the college softball final for the first time since 2018. They'd won 4 straight national titles. They're virtually playing at home in Oklahoma City. And not virtually, they're really playing at home and not on their home field, but you have the home field advantage with the crowd. But you had a home run that tied the game in the 9th out of a 9-hole hitter from Oklahoma, and Texas Tech comes back and wins that 3-2. So Oklahoma's reign, the dynasty, should we say? I'm not going to say the dynasty is over because chances are they're going to be right back in this similar situation next year. But not in the final for the first time since 2018. I don't care what sport you're talking about. That's really hard to do.
That's insane.
It is really, really hard to do. You're talking about a run of like everybody talks about John Wooden and UCLA basketball and some of these great runs we've seen in other sports.
I had no idea.
Alabama in football. Oklahoma has been the dominant team in college softball. So they're not going to be playing in the final. It'll be Texas Tech against Texas in the women's college softball final. So you have, 2 old rivals. But this has come at a price for Texas Tech. And I want to ask you, about the House settlement that still has not been settled, by the way. This was supposed to be done two weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we thought the House settlement would be approved.
Not we thought. Didn't they say we'll have a decision for you by next week?
Yes. And so that hasn't happened yet. Texas Tech, and if you follow a lot of college softball, which we don't, but I know enough about it to know that the pitcher means everything. Everything. You got to have the pitcher. Nigeria, Canada, I don't
Kennedy?
even know her name. Kennedy?
Okay.
Nigeria Kennedy is the pitcher for Texas Tech. She was the USA Softball Player of the Year. I mean, she's really, really good. She didn't start a career at Texas Tech. She started at Stanford, where she got Stanford into the College World Series and did a good job until the money came along. And she was paid from Texas Tech. This is out there. They made this public, Ross. $1,050,024. $1 million in NIL, $50,000 for living expenses, and $24 for her jersey number. They put a little formula together. Here's your NIL deal. Now, and I'm thinking in the terms of the House settlement now. You come in with $1 million offer for a softball player. Is Deloitte going to go, that's above market value? Because we're talking a non-revenue sport. We're talking just what is that visibility? But if you're Texas Tech at this point, you're going, you're darn right it's worth the value. We're playing for the national title. Right? I mean, so
absolutely.
What's the trade-off here? If Deloitte can go, yeah, that $1 million, you're just paying for a player. Well, that's the point here. That at least their NIL collective fully said, this is what we offered her. We offered a softball player $1 million, and now that's going to go through a clearinghouse to where Deloitte can go, well, that's you're way overpaying the value. And Texas Tech my argument would be, well, she took us to the national championship game, and the exposure we're getting from ESPN, the stories that are written about her on ESPN, that's value for Texas Tech that is almost immeasurable. And there will be some media companies that say, well, in earned media, and there's a term out there called, earned and free media, to where you're just mentioned because you're part of the stories, you're bringing, aspects and mentions to a university. They can go, that's worth like $8 to $10 million right there. So don't tell me what somebody's worth is.
So Jeff, I think a lot of this is still wait and see. Like you said, I mean, we have to, what is Deloitte's role? Are they actually going to have the authority to deny things like this? And say, no, Nigeria, you can't have $1 million. You're a softball pitcher. You can get $50,000. You can have your $24. You can have your $50,000, your $24. But that $1 million, nope. Then what happens? Then so that $1 million has to be spread out amongst. Dude, I don't know. And you're right. Is it when you first started this? You go, oh my gosh, they paid her $1 million to be a pitcher. Because somebody did the math and said, it would be fun. It's worth it. I'll give you my money. Go and get this girl. Well, let's go win a national title or a couple. Let's go beat Oklahoma for the first time ever.
You literally ended a dynasty that a team had won 4 straight national titles, had been in a national title game every year since 2018.
Crazy.
And
I had no idea.
You're talking about the USA Softball Player of the Year. And I'm making a big assumption here, thinking that Deloitte would axe the deal. But
I don't know. I don't know if they'll have that power or not. I'm with you. I think because, Travis, the problem is if they don't have the power to deny deals like that, then what do they serve? Are they just there to collect a piece of every deal and record it? Or is Deloitte? I think this is why we have to wait and find out what their jurisdiction actually is. Where their power starts and stops. Do they actually have? Because this is a great example of it. Is a softball pitcher who's taking her team to the College World Series, who just helped end a dynasty. Is that pitcher worth $1 million? It's a non-revenue generating sport, but now you're on ESPN. Every coach and softball lover on the planet would say, absolutely worth it. Most economists would look at it and go, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Again, it's a lot of free pub.
Well, and where this makes sense to me, where I have a problem with a clearinghouse, is that of that $20.5 or $21 million that the schools have set aside to spend money on paying players. Let's be honest where that money's going. That's going to football and that's going to basketball because those are your revenue driving sports. And additional NIL deals is going to be where these non-revenue sports, softball, track and field, in most cases volleyball, most cases
gymnastics,
baseball,
all of these other athletes,
are going to be able to go out and make more money. And if they have to go through the clearinghouse and whatever that algorithm states. Somebody asked earlier if they knew what Jordy Ball was getting. Now, you may not know who Jordy Ball is. Jordy Ball was started at Oklahoma as a freshman and a sophomore, won 2 national championships, transferred to Nebraska. I don't know what her NIL deal is, but I guarantee it's a hell of a lot of money. Have they gotten the worth out of Jordy Ball? Her first year, she got hurt, had to sit out with a knee injury. This year, she took them all the way to the Super Regionals, only to lose in the 3rd game to Tennessee. So I would say there's some value there. I don't know if she's $1 million person. I don't know if she's a $500,000 person. But you could say getting all the way to the Super Regionals was an accomplishment, but it's not getting a team to the national championship. Getting any team to the national, and if you win the national championship, if you beat Texas, that $1 million investment was well worth it. To me,
depends on what your priority is. If having that trophy and winning that title, and if that's that important, then absolutely it's worth it to do that. Brian says this is where the rich set the market value and mess things up for the little guy. I'm trying to do this. This is where the rich set the market value and mess the market up, right? I'm not smart, but this is how the fair market gets messed up. Not necessarily, Brian. I think you're partly right there with the rich can certainly jack the market up. Look at the Dodgers, look at the Yankees, right? But let's look at college football. I've tried to beat this thing up for 2 or 3 years in a row. The Iowa Hawkeyes have landed the best and most sought after player, or at least had in there, because again, Caden Proctor that second year. First year it was Cade McNamara. He was the golden child on the transfer portal. Hawks landed him. Second year was Caden Proctor. Hawks had him in the building for a long time, had him on campus, whatever happened there. And you can continue to do that. The wide receiver from Ohio State, the Hawkeyes are major players on the NIL market in football, right? But have they gotten the return on it?
No.
No. So when you say the rich continue to set the bar, it's not always the rich that are setting the bar. And we've seen this over and over. Now, on a whole, absolutely. Texas A&M and their cajillion dollars, they're setting the bar pretty high on a big standard. But look at the individual cases. Jackson State got Travis Hunter. The good players are going to smaller universities and going and playing at other places. So
let me sum it up for you. It up for you. And when he says this is where the rich, you have to separate that. You have tradition rich, and then you find out who's cash rich.
Great way to put it.
Because when you say it used to be the rich get richer because Alabama was just pumping out, players left and right. Before that, it was USC. Before that, it was Nebraska. I mean, so you could go through it and go, well, these are tradition rich teams. And then all of a sudden you open up this thing and you go, oh, and you've referenced Nick Saban a lot in the fact that you think Alabama's cash rich, and it's got money, but you find out, oh, there's a lot of other institutions that have cash. And all of a sudden you look at a Texas Tech that is not tradition rich when it comes to winning and losing and national titles. But you go, oh, West Texas oil money goes a long way.
And then all of a sudden you sprinkle that into a thing like college softball and you make a big difference.
Yes. A major difference. Believe it or not, there were institutions like Iowa, like Iowa State, probably like Texas Tech, that followed the rules. Not saying there weren't, paper brown bags of $100 bills, but for the most part, followed the rules.
We're keeping things above board.
Yes. And then you go, oh, we can do this now?
So
We've
now
been waiting for this.
So now you've got this consulting firm, and if anybody out there that says, well, I'm glad there's a Deloitte that's going to be able to keep things fair. I'm glad there's a Deloitte that's going to be able to step in and say, listen, Iowa softball can't afford $1 million for a pitcher. Therefore, no other school can pay $1 million for the best pitcher in the land. What if they did that for wrestling? What if they came in and they said, Iowa, you don't get to keep buying the best dude. Bo Bassett, we Deloitte now gets to take your contract. And we get to decide how much you're worth, and then
the interesting part will be this. And if I'm an institution right now, I'm trying to get my guys signed up, or my gals signed up as fast as I can.
Yes.
Because I want to know if the house settlement becomes, and I should know this, I don't. If the house settlement becomes the law, which there's going to be freaking lawsuits left and right almost immediately. There's going to be. Do they go back and retroactively review said NIL deals? Do they go back and say, okay, we're now reviewing everything. Bo Bassett, Iowa Wrestling, we're going to look at your deal.
Or are things grandfathered in? I think things get grandfathered in. That's what you're saying. You should, contracts should supersede.
Absolutely, they should. But to me, Ross, that's not a bad thing.
No.
Because if you're grandfathered in, you are setting a worth at that point. And if you deliver on said worth, you fall in that algorithm to go, oh, well, this person was able to take somebody to the college championship. Therefore, that $1 million was worth it. And I know Bo Bassett has said, nah, he's not a $5 million guy. When you see $1 million for a softball player and you look at the power of the Iowa wrestling team, which can use the Iowa Wrestling Club as a mechanism to pay, I look at that and go, well, you know what? If you got the money, spend it. No guarantees, but that's what it is. Man. I just can't believe you go from Palo Alto, California to Lubbock, Texas. That had to be you're like, what?
Culture shock.
That's a culture shock.
Where's I don't know enough about California. Where's Palo Alto?
Up by like San Francisco.
It does seem like Northern California is a little bit more
chic,
sane, right? Or no? Is it? I don't know. San Francisco.
You're talking by San Francisco.
Okay. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah. Would you call West Texas sane? Have you ever been to Lubbock, Texas? I've been to Lubbock, Texas several times.
I've only seen the Waco documentaries.
That's a good indication. That's a pretty darn good indication. But I mean, we've heard of these crazy NIL deals. There's been lack of transparency. The Red Raider Fund has been pretty transparent about this, about how they structured her deal, and it paid off. So there you go. All I know is if somebody wanted to pay me $1 million, I would probably go take the deal, whether I was worth it or not. Oh, you want to pay me $1 million? Okay.
Yeah. What do you need me to do? Kill who?
No, I have a line, Ross. I have a line.
I bet you do. It's weird how your shirt, even when you're still, looks like it's vibrating.
Yeah, it's called the Moray effect.
Is that what they call that?
They call it the Moray. So when I was on television, you could never wear like stripes like this especially with a high definition camera, it would just like move, and I figure, you know what, for a YouTube camera, I don't care. I'm going to mess with your brain. I'm going to make you feel like you're on LSD in the morning. That's my,
it's worked.
My goal.
It's worked, baby.
Ross comes in this morning. He's looking at my shirt. He doesn't talk about the movement of said shirt. He goes, "Oh, you're wearing Puma," and I said,
"Yeah, isn't that a Puma? Look, he's got a little panther there. Look right there on your little boobie. You got a little Puma boobie. Yeah, panther boob."
Then I had to point out to him, "Yeah, it's not a Puma. It's a dolphin." And I said, "I can't afford Puma, but I can afford TJ Maxx dolphins."
I love it.
Just saying.
You have Lacoste. I really like that alligator. No, that's actually just a green tiger. He's crouching. It looks like an alligator.
He's crouching and hidden. Crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
That's all she did.
See, on my camera, I can't see the shirt moving that much. It's moving.
It vibrates.
Vibrates.
Moray effect. I like that.
The Moray effect.
I like learning this stuff.
I learned one thing at Grandview University when I was going to school there, and and then my radio and television classes, the Moray effect is something that sticks in my head.
That's good.
Glad I made my parents pay for 4 years of college for me to learn the Moray effect. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
I had one other NFL rabbit hole. We got to the Raiders punter because we do have a busy 7:30. Should we tell people what we're doing at 7:30?
So we're going to talk to Ben Lynch. He's a lawyer in town. He's based in Clive, and he's representing a Central Iowa man who is suing DraftKings over a 2024 bet at the Pebble Beach Pro-AM. Not just one bet, 5 bets, because this guy was looking at the weather forecast, started doing the odds, saw bets were still being taken on DraftKings for said golf tournament, and did a couple parlays. He took a risk. He didn't gamble that much money. I think it was maybe $400 or $500 total.
Like that. Yeah,
something like that. But in the end, had winning bets of with the parlays in the millions.
$14 million worth of winning bets.
So the next day, they cancel said Pebble Beach Pro-Am because of weather, and DraftKings refunds the bets and says they're null and void. And he's saying, listen, you took my bet. You had betting open. You knew, just like I did, what the possibility of because think about this, Ross. I mean, look what and DraftKings isn't alone in this. If a player gets hurt or something happens, they'll take a game off the board real quick because they'll be like, you got to shut it down because you're going to game the system. Well, you didn't pay attention, and now he's suing DraftKings, and we talked about it briefly yesterday. We had a connection that connected with Ben Lynch, and we're going to talk to the lawyer to see, and I'm going back and forth on this. You read the story, I see DraftKings side of it, but I also see this guy's side of it to where you go, hold on for a second. And I don't think I'm getting too far ahead of myself. These stories aren't alone. And what I mean by that is, a lot of gamblers. I know a lot of gamblers, to the fact where all of a sudden, if you hit a really big bet, they don't want to pay that out. And all of a sudden they find a way in the very fine print to say, well, we're going to cancel that bet because we don't want to pay $600,000. We don't want to pay $700,000. We'll pay you your $100. We'll pay your $200. But when you start renting real money, sometimes they'll kick you off the app.
Listen, I'm with you. This is going to be a fun conversation with the attorney, and maybe we can even kind of approach it from, both. First of all, we're both idiots when 100%. It comes to the law and all this stuff. Neither one of us are big gamblers, so I'm not really well versed in the gambling world. So I'll defer to experts on this stuff. But yeah, you kind of laid out how this happened. A guy in Dallas County here in Central Iowa, is watching golf. He sees the storm roll in. So on Saturday night, just before midnight. He goes on to DraftKings. He looks at the leaderboard, and he puts together like a 20-leg parlay type of thing. He finds a couple of different bets that he can do that allow him to basically take the leaderboard and say, I think the tournament's going to finish like this. Rain continues throughout Saturday. They cancel Sunday, and they say, all right, how the tournament ended on Saturday, that's the ending thing. Now, DraftKings' argument is no other shots were played. You basically bet on the weather. And his thing is, yeah, you guys had it up there on the board. I just did what you allowed me to do. And by the way, I think the strongest argument is, had anything happened that would have made those bets actually losing bets, they'd have taken his $500.
Absolutely.
Damn right.
Wouldn't have hesitated.
If the dude that was the leader would have all of a sudden come down with cooties and they'd have said, you can't play golf tomorrow, DraftKings would have said, thanks for the $500. Can't say, wait, I can't call the cootie card. So I'm interested in it. And thank you very much to our listener who we're going to have that attorney on at some point too. Because I
reached out to him as well. I didn't copy you on it because I like, hey, I heard you have a Ross Peterson story. And
did he reach back to you yet?
He hasn't reached back out yet. So hopefully he'll reach back out because you and I are like close. We tell each other everything, our deepest, darkest secrets. And we're talking on the phone yesterday, and you dropped this story. I mean, like, you've never told me this story. It's wild.
I don't think I've shared this on the air at all.
And it's time to share the story.
Right.
But I want it to come from the lawyer.
Yeah,
now,
I'm good with
anytime
that.
you hear a lawyer and Ross Peterson's name mentioned together, you might think it's a bad thing.
This is a fun one.
It's a very fun one, but it also shows you laziness on some people's parts. Just absolute laziness, and how sometimes somebody's name could get drugged through the ringer and you don't even know it. But that's just a deep, deep tease for maybe later on in the week or
even this summer. Yeah.
Yeah, this summer. So,
Trav, my quick rabbit hole for the NFL before we get to that 7:00 hour, because I know you've got a busy stuff to get to before we get to Ben Lynch. I hate, because you plan these shows. I always hate this when I come in here and I'm like, hey, let's trade squirrels all morning.
It's okay. It's
okay. All right. As long as you're okay with it. But the Jets need a lot of help. Okay. Jets have a new head coach, Aaron Glenn, and he's implementing some new stuff, including Bible verses. Jets head coach Aaron Glenn introduces Bible study as part of the team's program. He isn't just trying to turn around the team's record. He's also trying something a little unexpected to the playbook, Bible study. The move is revealed by safety Jarius Monroe, who shared a photo on his Instagram story. I'm reading from relevantmagazine.com, by the way. He shared a worksheet from one of the sessions. The sheet included verses from Timothy and a 5-question quiz. So it's not just a quick devotional, it's actual homework. Travis, is
it required?
This is part of their team workouts. I mean, again, I love it. I think it's really cool that they're doing it. And it reminds me, actually, it's like we do this at my church. Now, I'm not one of the people that actually goes along with it, but there is this thing of if you write things down, you'll remember them more. And so the top third of the page is the Bible verse from Timothy. And then the bottom 2/3 are basically these 5 questions about the verse.
So he's evangelizing while he's coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with it being required because when you're a professional, you're like, hey, that's not my thing, or I'm Muslim, or I'm Jewish.
Okay, but if I love it, but it's just motivational. What if Kirk Ferentz says, I'm requiring everybody to read this book. It's the 7 Habits of Successful People. I want everybody has to read Atomic Habits. Isn't that the same exact thing? I mean, he's not saying I'm demanding that you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. He's saying, hey guys, I want you to read this Accessories poster with me and tell me what you think of it. Now, it happens.
Valley West Mall, Accessories.
It happens to be that Accessories poster comes from the most popular book ever written. Isn't it? I'm not trying to water down the Bible verse, but isn't it the same thing? Why would people would have no problem with it if it was, hey, everybody, we're going to read this Stephen King novel, and it's going to teach us how to be tough in the face of adversity. People would go, yeah, I'm going to read that book too. But you throw Bible on it, and people instantly go, well, wait a minute.
It becomes polarizing.
Wait a minute. Yep, I didn't know you were going to go there with it.
515-517-2303. We got an hour in the books. We got an hour to go again. Ben Lynch, lawyer in Central Iowa, is scheduled to join us at 7:30. Talk a lawsuit that he's got going against DraftKings, which to me has settlement written all over it. But we'll see how far this thing goes. It is the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com, powered by Willis Automotive.
Your house wasn't built for bats, birds, or raccoons, but try telling them that. At Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions, we've been helping Iowans take back their homes for over 20 years. We use cost-effective, eco-friendly methods to solve wildlife and pest problems the right way. Whether it's bats in your attic, birds in the vent, raccoons in your chimney, or moles in your yard, we have long-term solutions. Call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400, and let's make sure your home doesn't become their home.
Hi, my name's Jerry Rodriguez. I'm a Lexus technician, and I've been with Willis about 28 years. My favorite part about working at Willis has to be my coworkers, teammates, a lot of like-minded folks with the same goals in mind, and that's taking care of the customer. We have the fishing. I enjoy fishing. We have a lot of good fishing here in the Des Moines area with various lakes.
The largest selection of German beer in the world? You'll find it at the Hessen House. From Doppelbocks to Oktoberfest to Hefeweizens and Dunkels, there's no passport needed for the deliciously different beer and food at the Hessen House. So grab your friends and make it a fun night out. The Hessen House, 4th and Court, Des Moines.
You know, Brian, at Central City, we really do have the best selection around.
I know. High quality stuff you can't find anywhere else.
Whistle Pig Plantation Rum.
Yeah, and over 150 of the best scotches on earth.
And a ton of bitters, mixers, and more.
You know what we are? High class.
Definitely high class, yeah.
Make way for the natty.
Okay, maybe medium class.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the Wooden Nickel program.
Back like a rash you thought was gone. Travis and Ross aren't contagious, but they are addictive. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
Hour number 2 of the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive. I'm Travis Justice. He's Ross Peterson. For those of you listening on the audio stream at therushradio.com, or if you have the Rush Radio app, yes, we have an app. It's for Android phones only right now. Still trying to get through all the Apple mess because Apple controls the world and thinks they're just bigger and better than everybody else. But anyway, I digress. Go to the Play Store on your Android phone. Search The Rush with Travis and Ross. You'll see our logo right there. Download the app. Makes it very, very, very simple. If you're watching on YouTube this morning, give the video a like. Subscribe to our channel. Start leaving the comments in the comments section. You can follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram. And don't forget, after the show, if you missed any part of the show, you want to go listen to it again, you can also go to therushradio.com where you will find the podcast replay of the show. You can get that in a couple different mediums. That is, just click the Listen Live button, and you can pick up the show wherever it's at. Or you can download the podcast and listen to it in the comfort of your own home on your favorite podcast provider. By the way, iHeart's still our leading podcast provider, which I think is funny, right?
Sure.
Should I laugh at that or not?
Yeah, it's a platform.
It is. It is a platform. And I don't think they're making money off us, which is good. Because we just
I wouldn't know.
Oh, I do.
Oh, good. Okay, then
you aren't making money off us, which is just fine. Hey, a quick update, because you brought this up yesterday. Lance McCullers, right? He was the Major League Baseball pitcher that was getting death threats to his family. His 5-year-old got 24-hour security. It was a crazy, crazy story. They've appeared to get to the bottom of this. And a lot of people thought, it was probably degenerate gamblers, but you're probably thinking, man, you're sitting in your bar in Houston or you're sitting wherever you're playing and you're making bets. It was a bettor, but Ross, it was an overseas bettor who was drunk and was getting pissed because he gave up 7 runs in the first inning as he came back. Now, to this guy's credit, I don't want to give the guy too much credit because it's a stupid threat. It is dumb. He screwed up. But to this guy's credit, he owned up. He got a hold of authorities, said, it was me. I was drunk. I was pissed. And I'm sorry.
And what? And I'm glad the guy admitted it and came out and was like, oh, because it would have been real easy to be like, oh, no, the internet, man, they made it look like it came from me. Gambling, dude. Man, we care a lot. And it's not just gambling. It's our love of sports. This specific one is gambling, obviously. But man,
when you throw alcohol in with gambling, then it's a lot worse.
I always think of the dude that poisoned the trees at is it called Toomer's Corner?
Toomer's Corner down at Auburn. He was an Alabama fan. You had this and you took it too far because you had this lovely, I think they were oak trees or whatever.
They were they were like native to that area. Yeah. They were really special. They were huge, and it was Toomer's Corner. And after Auburn games, the Auburn fans would go down to this shaded park under this big tree. It was like a tradition. Some Alabama fan went and poisoned the tree.
And when they couldn't save it. They couldn't save it.
They couldn't save it. It was once he poisoned it, it's done. It's in the system, it's done. And when they asked him about it, remember what his quote was, Travis? It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. I just got too much Bama in me. That's what he said. I swear to God. I got too much Bama in me. Like, it's not my fault.
It's what I was raised.
It's that Crimson A. Made me do it. Trees, Charlie says. I thought it was,
I thought it was one tree, but it might have been multiple trees
at Toomer's Corner or whatever it was. Yeah, too much Bama in me. What made you threaten the life of the 5-year-old daughter of a pitcher? It's not, I got too much Bama in me. You're crazy. You've got to screw loose. You need serious help. Oh, it was the alcohol that made me do it. Bullshit. I've known a lot of people that have had alcohol. None of them have ever threatened the life of a 5-year-old girl because her dad couldn't get professionals out at the rate that you were happy with. What a horrible excuse. I'm glad. Listen, there is a 1% grace here. You admitted it. Thank you.
And apologize. And he relayed to authorities. Could you please tell him I'm sorry? Like, that's probably unforgivable. I mean, it's just like, sorry, I can't forgive you for that because you sent fear in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, does this guy understand traumatizing a 5-year-old?
Well, the 5-year-old may not know what.
No, she knows. She knows. That's how the story got out. She heard her mom and dad talking about. She asked her dad at 5 years old. He came home from a game, and his 5-year-old said, "Daddy, what's a threat? Why is mommy talking about people threatening me?" So yeah, yeah, it did. It got to this fight, and that's traumatic for a 5-year-old. And then, as you and I both know, when you've got trauma, as every one of us know, trauma as a kid, that's the path.
Oh yeah,
that's the path.
Sets it in
motion. And you across the pond on a drunk night decided that it was your job to play Mr. Destiny and change the direction of this. I mean, truly change a path of trajectory on a person's life across the world because you lost some cash.
I guess my question would be, can this guy be arrested overseas? I mean, it's not like American authorities can do anything.
That's a good point.
But can like the authorities of his jurisdiction go, hey, you threaten somebody not from this country. It's almost like how much trouble can the guy get in? I don't know the answer to that.
Dude, I don't know. It's sad. Again, we care way too much about sports, and the gambling has only amped that up to 1,000.
They're going to say, "Come on, Ross, you do a sports show. You have to care about sports." There's a healthy level of caring about sports.
I've been pretty consistent here, I think, in my lifetime.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
I know you are. I know that you've always understood this because, I mean, hell, even Chris and I used to joke about when they put us together in the afternoons, they're like, "Oh, we're going to call the show The Fanatics." I'm not a fanatic. In fact, I laugh at fanatics. I think it's silly how much people care, and gambling has only exacerbated it, man.
I think a lot of things. I mean, the internet has done the exact same thing.
That's true. I like the internet's a big part.
Yeah. Because 20 years ago, you cared about recruiting, but you really didn't care about recruiting. It's almost like the recruiting aspect started that fanaticism. Then you could get chat rooms that where people could just throw out any rumor that they wanted, and they get fired up about it. And then you throw the money aspect onto it. Then you're like, okay, I was happy we recruited this kid. Now you got to perform. I'm going to bet on you.
Fanatics, brother.
And I appreciate fans.
I'm glad you told. I did not see this Lance McCullers update, so I'm glad you at least told me that. They got the guy. I guess.
What if that makes him sleep better at night? To go,
I would hope to know that it wasn't truly somebody that had, and maybe that's a part. Maybe that's why my grace should grow from that 1% thing that I said. Maybe that's
you were just quoting Bible verses before.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Well, I mean, I think that's really cool that they're doing that with the Jets, and maybe there should be something where you look at it and go, this is nice that this guy said this because it should give some peace to Lance McCullers and his family. I would hope. Again, the 5-year-old, that's not. You don't remember the conversations of 5-year-old. You remember the trauma. And but maybe Lance McCullers and his wife can rest easy knowing that there's not literally some crazy at the gate.
I don't know. I still think there would be a level of doubt in my own head, right? To go, okay, we think this is it, but let's just sleep with one eye open for a little bit before because it's as time goes on, what's natural human instinct? You get more and more comfortable. You let your guard down. You throw that in there with, look at all the professional athletes that have been robbed lately, right? I mean, professional athletes got to worry about that. Speaking of baseball, of course, the ESPN Major League Baseball contract is coming to an end at the end of this year, and there's going to be new suitors for baseball, and it appears now that NBC and Apple are the leading candidates, should we say, to get said baseball contract for Major League Baseball. If you're Major League Baseball, Ross, and I'm just asking you this, what's more important? In the overall, I don't want you to think with a Major League Baseball brain. I just want you to think, if I were to say something, hey, what's more important, the money or the eyeballs?
Oh, man. Okay. It's the money. The money's the most important. Just like in college football. You can lose, but if you're profitable, you're going to keep your job. You can win, but if you don't make money, you're going to get fired. It's the money. But the eyeballs. The eyeballs are the what's the way to say it? It's the ends justify the means. The eyeballs are the means to the end, which is get the money.
You know, Chris puts up a good point, and I think it's worth saying is that if eyeballs were important, the Major League Baseball wouldn't have blackouts.
Boom. There's your that answers your question right there. Great point, Chris.
But the problem is eyeball. What do eyeballs do in the long run? They lead to more money.
That's what I'm saying. They're the means that however that saying goes. They're how you get to the end, which is make the money. You got to have the eyeballs. Again, the coaching thing, the college coaching thing. Got to make the money. What's the easiest way to make money? Win games. If you win, people will show up, and that's how we make the money. But you don't. But if you're really tricky, you don't have to win to get people to show up, and you can still make money. And then you keep your job. And if if you screw things up, you win, lose money, lose job. Major League Baseball is weird, man. And how do we see things like the Colorado Rockies? For years we've joked about the Tampa Bay Rays having 19 people at games. The A's are closing down. I mean, for decades they had to tarp over a tier of their stadium. But at the same time, they're blacking out games and everybody's making more money.
You know what Major League Baseball needs? And you're going to think I'm crazy here. It needs personalities that lead into the games. Hear me out. CBS and Fox and the NFL pregame shows build that sport. College football has Fox Big Noon Saturday. You have College Game Day. NBA has Shaq and Ernie Johnson in that group. You don't have personalities that are helping grow the game from an entertainment standpoint to make you go, God, I'm watching this. I mean, am I wrong there?
No, there's nothing like that. Travis, who would you have?
Well, the best was Harold Reynolds, but
Harold Reynolds
got
was
rid of
great. Yep, and then he went to MLB Network, MLB TV. What am I screwing up there?
TV,
yeah.
One of the most memorable baseball moments I can think of. This happened a couple of years ago when I think Pete Rose was still alive, and it was on Major League Baseball TV. You remember when? Was it Pete Rose or was it Alex Rodriguez? I'm just trying to think. But they were in the studio and they were in the batting box and they were going through hitting techniques and they were going through and you're like, that's the entertainment through. You're like, oh my God, this is so much fun to watch. You almost need that lead in with personalities and entertainment to go, this is the biggest game. I got to be watching this. It's not just the game itself. It is.
Travis, I think both of those guys, I think what you're talking about there, I feel like I've seen Pete Rose and Alex Rodriguez and Frank Thomas and a few other guys do that. Yeah, Casey just wrote all three of those. That's hilarious.
But that needs to be a nightly thing. And it needs to be on a network that people can see.
On ESPN.
And you got to be able to watch the game.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so Travis, that video that's in our head is apparently one video with all three of them?
Yes. They were all three in the studio.
Oh,
they were just going through it. You should Google it afterwards and rewatch it because it's just phenomenal. But I'm like, that's the type of pregame show that you need. That's what makes it interesting.
That's a great point, dude.
Yeah.
I think that Bryce Harper, when he's done playing, Bryce Harper seems like the type of guy that could be that Charles Barkley character. He doesn't care what people think about him. I mean, he does. He wants to be. We all care what people think about us. He's not a sociopath, but he's got that FU attitude that Barkley has. I'll say what I want to say.
No filter.
That's the word I'm looking for. He's got that thing about him. He's polarizing. I think he might be the type of guy that the more you learn about his personality, the more you'd like him. Baseball needs something like that. It's a good point.
So just throwing that out there.
The network is a huge part of it.
Yes. And I don't know if Apple TV's it. I don't know if NBC's it. ESPN just stopped caring about baseball. I mean, it was great to have Carl Ravitch on there, but at the end of the day, you didn't have the rest of the.
It was the money,
personalities.
Yeah, they didn't sign a contract.
Yeah,
dude. Same thing when you were working for whatchamacallit, and they said, "Hey, don't say the words Associated Press anymore." Why? Well, because we quit getting money from them. Huh? I can't say Associated Press because there's a boardroom pissing match happening? Yeah. Got it.
But it's called the Associated Press poll. We're just giving attribution. We could get sued. No, you can't. It's amazing that you're an in-debt billion-dollar company that doesn't understand what that is.
And whatever. This to me is the same thing.
You know, Max Homa played the Memorial over the weekend and then had to go play a qualifier for the U.S. Open yesterday, 36 holes. He fired his caddy. And instead of getting another caddy, Max Homa carries his own bag for 36 holes. Gets to a playoff for the last spot in the U.S. Open. And he 3-putted. Missing out on the U.S. Open. Ricky Fowler missed out on the U.S. Open. Max Homa missed out on the U.S. Open. But Max Homa's a big name, right? I mean, Max Homa is a recognizable name.
One of the top, 15 names in golf?
Well, he's had a little down spell. He did finish, I believe, 12th at the Masters. But he had to carry his own bag. Is there something therapeutic about that, though? He's like,
let's slow down. Can we? I want to challenge some of your language here.
Yeah.
Had to?
No, he didn't have to. I guarantee you could have picked anybody out of the gallery and said, "You want to carry my bag for 36 holes?" You're right.
Any dude would have looked at their buddy and been like, "It's happening. It's happening. I'm going under the rope."
I'm not going to ask you what I should hit. When I say 7-iron, just give me a 7-iron.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't even have to just carry my bag and set it down next to me. So why did he do it? So, I saw Betty right before you went through the description. She said, "Why did Max Homa carry his own bag?" And then you were right there with it. Chat's been on point with us today. It's been fun. Well, so why did he do it then? Let's talk about this. Did he do it? Am I being too cynical if I say I think he did it for this? I think he did it for the reaction. There's no reason. There's no reason not to get somebody. You don't know anybody.
Let me tell you why I don't think he did it for the reaction. You want to play in the U.S. Open. You want to. I think you hit a point, and somebody brought it up. I'm not going to say it's a mental health issue, but sometimes you're just like, my caddy didn't help me. Nobody else is going to help me. Screw it. I'm just going to do it myself. And
so is that being too prideful?
That's a good way to look at it. That's fair. Wonder how many caddies on the tour called and said, "Dude, I would have carried your bag."
Yeah, that's right. Like, dude, how many of those caddies have a guy in the community that could have said that? I mean, I would imagine. I don't know. You know, I'd love to talk to Coach Hersom about this. Or,
well, in Casey said, it's kind of what we're saying. He did it to get his mind right, or attempt to. Yeah, at about hole 20, you're like, "What am I doing here?"
That's what I'm saying. At some point, don't you have to go? Oh, man.
I mean, I carry my clubs from my trunk to my cart, and I'm exhausted.
I drive the cart to the car.
Okay. That's lazy. That's lazy.
That's lazy.
I'm
there to have fun. You're right. I do apologize, Mike. He says I'm always cynical, and I am. But there is a part of me that just says, man, this is that cutting your nose off to spite your face type of thing. Would he have saved a stroke by not carrying his bag 36 holes? Possibly. Would he not have 3-putted if he'd had somebody there who'd have said, just to say, hey man, this thing, I'm reading this thing like a cup to the right? I don't know. Maybe over the course of time, it's one stroke. Maybe for Max Homa and the mental state he was in, having anybody around him was a bad thing. And that's obviously what he was thinking.
And we've all been there, right? We've all been where I want nobody around me.
Yeah.
And it's but when you're a professional golfer, when you're as good as he is, you look at it and go, why would you do that? But we've all been in a place where I want nobody around me. I need the solitude of a bag on my back, and I'm walking 18 holes, and I don't have to deal with anybody. Now, it cost him maybe a spot in the U.S. He can still make the U.S. Open. He's got to golf the, I believe, Canadian Open this weekend, but pretty much going to have to win it to get into the top 60. I hope he has a caddy for the Canadian Open. Just say. 515-517-2303. Are you ready to talk law, gambling, lawsuits? I am.
I think this is going to be a fascinating conversation.
So
I'm excited about this. I think you and I are going to learn a lot because,
Yes.
again, we're both idiots.
Because you read the story, and there's always more to the story. So hopefully we can get some more information. As Ben Lynch, he's a lawyer here in Central Iowa, and he's going to join us about an interesting and fascinating lawsuit that one of his clients right here in Central Iowa is going against DraftKings. It's coming up next on the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's 25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
Hi everyone and welcome to May. It's finally starting to feel like spring. I'm John Lanera, sales manager here at Willis Lexus, and this month we've got some great specials. We have interest rates as low as 3.79 on select models, and if you prefer to lease, we have $1,000 of lease cash on RX, $2,000 on ES and ES Hybrid, and $2,500 on NX Gas. And don't forget this month we've got the Principal Charity Classic coming on, so expect to see you guys out there. I invite you to stop out and take a look, or visit us online at willislexus.com.
Missing a quality home-cooked meal? You know, the kind Mom used to make? Lucky for you, we found her recipe book. Welcome to the High Life. Welcome to the Champagne of Bars.
Looking for the perfect golf escape? Experience links-style golf right here in Ames at Coldwater Golf Links. With rolling fairways, large greens, and unique routing, it's golf the way it's meant to be played. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you'll love our course's welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. Grab your clubs, book a tee time, and make every round unforgettable. Coldwater Golf Links, where great golf leads to great memories. Visit coldwatergolf.com to book your round today.
Summer's on its way, and that means road trips, travel, and summer activities. Is your car ready? Come in now and get your maintenance done, like air conditioning, alignment, and fluid services to make sure your Land Rover is ready for everything the summer can throw at it. Schedule service online at LandRoverDesMoines.com or give us a call today.
Back to the Rush. Strong opinions, weak filters, and just enough sense to stay on the air. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
If you're looking for a bumper crop of boomers at dirt cheap prices, the Iowa Fireworks Farm is the place to go, Ross Peterson.
They got boomers, bangers, and showstoppers.
That's right.
The biggest fireworks store in Iowa is just about 25 minutes south of Des Moines. On I-35 at exit 43, you're going to find the Iowa Fireworks Farm. And yeah, I love that. A bumper crop of boomers.
No gimmicks, just the best selection and value around. In fact, they have a 6,000 square foot climate controlled showroom where you can preview your fireworks. You go, well, how do I know that's going to be like awesome in the sky? They put on a video for it and you go, damn.
And then you know what you're getting. It's that expectation, man. You know exactly what you're going to be doing when you light that fuse. So anyway, it's an awesome store, wonderful people, and we're giving away some really cool stuff.
That's right. We're hooking you up with a $50 gift card to the Iowa Fireworks Farm each week to stock up, and one lucky winner will score The Godfather, a $700 fireworks mega pack that'll just blow your mind. So how do you get in on the $50 gift card and the Godfather mega pack? You go to therushradio.com. That's therushradio.com. Go to the promotions tag or page. You'll see an Iowa Fireworks Farm logo right there. Just fill in the information, and we'll have you celebrating the 4th of July in the right way. Go to the IowaFireworksFarm.com. All right, earlier in the hour, we talked about the DraftKings situation with a Central Iowa man. It's, he's suing him because he made some bets. DraftKings took the bets. He won his bets, and then they voided the bets. So we need to talk to somebody who knows a lot more about this than we do. So we bring in the lawyer who's representing this man, Ben Lynch. Nice mustache, by the way. That's a hell of a
look
stash.
at that.
Look at that mustache.
Good morning, guys.
Jealous. How you doing, Ben? With a mustache like that, he's doing great. You kidding me? You wake up with that thing?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm doing well. Thank you. A little early, but I'm glad to be here.
A little early. Lawyers work around the clock, don't you?
That is very true. We do work a lot.
Okay, because I thought you were going to say lawyers work bankers hours for a minute. That was going to be news to me. I thought you guys were 24 hours a day as well. Yeah.
So let's talk about this lawsuit. And when this man comes up and says, "Hey, I'd like to sue DraftKings," did you take the case right away, or was it one you dug into? And what made you go, "Oh, we got a case here"?
It was not something that I took right away. We did a lot of research into this. So we had to look at all of his bet slips, the correspondence with DraftKings. We had to look at the rules at the time that he placed the bet. We had to look at the rules after the fact when DraftKings changed them. And then really I had to educate myself. And I will give Nick Babas, my client, a lot of credit on this. He kind of, I don't do a lot of sports betting. In fact, I don't really do any. I have before, but he had to kind of walk me through what's a parlay bet? How do these bets work? How are odds calculated? And I watch golf from time to time, but I don't know a ton about it. So I also had to kind of research how all that went. So reading online and a lot of background investigation led me to my decision to ultimately take the case. But no, it was not something I just took overnight, because lawyers have a duty to investigate claims and not file frivolous lawsuits. So I wanted to make sure I knew what the heck I was talking about. But lo and behold, after doing all that work, Nick was spot on. He's a very intelligent client, and he helped me get there. So everything that he said was true after I researched it.
All right, so Travis, I got some questions. Can we start to dive in? So you said, Ben, that the bet slips were a part of this. Do you mean let's now start to get into some of the details of that? Do you mean even previous bets that you kind of had to go back and look at his betting history, or are we specifically talking about these 5 bets that are mentioned in the lawsuit?
It was the third round bets for the 2024 Pebble Beach Pro-AM. That is what this lawsuit's all about. And so that's what we looked at is what were the rules at the time when he made that bet? What was the payout? And then they didn't pay it. So really, I'm interpreting this, and I think it's a reasonable interpretation that this is a contract. Nick and DraftKings made a contract. They entered into the contract when he placed the bet. They accepted the bet. They didn't do what they're supposed to do. So it's really just a breach of contract case.
So, I think if you were to look, and I'm wondering if other bettors have come forward and say, hey, this isn't the first time it's happened. I've heard a lot of horror stories where somebody wins big money, those bets get voided out, and they'll kick guys off the app because they don't want guys winning $1 million or $2 million on a parlay. They like people to lose their $100, $200 cash, and it stacks up. So he made a bet on a parlay. Was a second or third bet a little bit different, but he was playing the weather, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he was a meteorologist at the time, going, okay, they're still taking bets. I'm going to make this bet thinking that it's going to get washed out. You don't think DraftKings has a case to where they say, hey, they didn't finish the tournament? There's no case there? Or, I mean, how do you attack that when they go, we understand what you're saying, but they never finished the actual 72 holes. They only played 54. They played a live tournament.
I think that argument is defeated very easily in two ways. Number one, don't accept bets if you don't want to pay the bet. You could have shut down the tournament. You see bad weather coming in, or there's this risk that it might be canceled earlier. Stop taking bets. Number two, if you are going to be accepting bets, your rules better allow you to do what you're saying you're going to do when you void these bets. So we looked at the rules, didn't allow them to void bets under these circumstances. So I think it's defeated that way. And if I didn't have those facts on my side, I probably wouldn't have taken the case. But nobody forced DraftKings to take these bets. And my argument is, if Nick would have lost this bet, I think the circumstances would have been a little bit different. It's, we have this business, this huge mega corporation that's publicly traded, making hundreds of millions of dollars a year in Iowa. And when the little guy comes around and wins a bet, after the fact, they just void the bet, and they don't expect to be held accountable. So I think it should go both ways. I think if you're accepting bets and the little guy wins, you got to pay the darn bet.
All right, so let's go to that. I'm writing down more questions as we go here, Ben. This is great. Let's talk about those changed rules that you've mentioned a few times here. What rules were in place, or what rules did they change, and how do you find out that they changed the rules?
Well, again, giving credit to my client, he's a very intelligent guy. He got the rules at the time when all this stuff started going down, and then we got the rules after the fact. And if you read some stories and stuff that are going around, DraftKings continues to share its new rules, which kind of make Nick look a little more flaky. But no, that's not what you had in effect at the time. And just to kind of make a long story short, without getting into the legal jargon, it allowed them to kind of have a little bit more discretion and leeway when it comes to voided bets. That's essentially, to make a long story short, what the difference in the rules were. But interestingly enough, we did request some rules at the time with some other sports books, and I'm drawing a blank on the names, but really some of these other sports books would have allowed them to cancel in a way that DraftKings wasn't able to. So that kind of cuts against DraftKings arguments of, we didn't know that this was going to happen. We had no way to predict against it, while other sports books had this stuff in effect. So their fault.
Go ahead, Trav.
Well, if you're able to go into court, if this goes to court, because I think this has settlement written all over it. I could be wrong, but I'm sure a settlement may come. But you're able to go and say, judge, jury, here were the rules on the bet. Here are where they are now. They changed the rules after the fact. You're able to show that those documents?
Yes, we are. And I think we have a really sympathetic client. I mean, it's a dude my age in central Iowa. This is going to be in the Southern District of Iowa in federal court in Des Moines. And we're going up against a corporation from out of state who, I got to be careful about my words here, but they make a lot of money, and my client's just a normal, everyday, regular guy. And it's called gaming law. It's gaming law. Think about that word. It's a game. He played the game. He won the game. Pay the bet. They keep saying, I've seen in the news, well, he was playing the weather, this and that. Well, when you place bets, you're allowed to factor in the weather. If you're betting on a Cubs game and it's a downpouring game as opposed to a sunny game, that might impact your bet, and that's totally fine. You're allowed to do that. It's a game.
Well, look at Caitlin Clark right now. I mean, you don't think people are betting against the Indiana Fever because Caitlin Clark is hurt? Your bet has changed because Caitlin's hurt, and you're like, oh, they've lost 3 in a row without her. Maybe I'm going to go against the Fever here because she's not playing. I mean, we all try to game the system when we do place bets. And Ross and I are kind of like you. We dibble-dabbled in betting. We're not huge bettors. But I wouldn't have been smart enough to go, oh, look at the weather. I think I'm going to place a bet here. That's actually pretty smart on the guy's part.
Very smart. And I did see one article that said it was a loophole. Somebody referred to his bet as a loophole. I'm like, it's not really a loophole. He placed a valid bet. I think it's a completely valid bet. And I don't really like that terminology, but I don't think this was some scheme or something weird. I mean, it's all about odds and variables, and he was smart, and he should be paid for his bet. And he's not the only person that this happened to. So he was the first person that contacted me, and that's why we filed a lawsuit. But ever since that lawsuit went public, we had people coming out of the woodworks contacting us. I didn't really reach out to anybody. People came to me, news, and then it went, all over Reddit and YouTube and all this stuff. And now other people were finding out that, we're a lot of other people on this exact same issue, the third round, Pebble Beach 2024. They're coming forward. So, it's a very interesting thing.
Who would have thought your niche might turn from personal injury into you do other law too,
into one specific rainstorm on one
who's the gambling expert in the country? We're going to Ben Lynch.
Yeah.
Ben, so these other clients, like Travis was asking earlier, because that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. There are lots of stories about these gambling entities. I mean, casinos, gambling apps, whatever you want to call them, having situations like this. But you're saying that you've had multiple clients reach out about this specific bet on this specific tournament.
Dozens. Yep. Dozens of them. And I've had other attorneys reach out to me too. They're like, and like you said, Travis, I never thought I'd be the DraftKings expert, but very, very, very interesting thing. And based on my research, don't quote me on this, but I believe that this is the biggest single person unpaid bet against a sports book in U.S. history, based on what I'm able to see at the 14 mil. I have not seen anything that even comes close to it. So you mentioned that DraftKings screw people or sports books screw people around a lot, and I think that is true. But I'm not aware of anything to this magnitude. So it's kind of unprecedented.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why it's gotten garnered the attention that it has, because of that $14 million number. There are a lot of people. We all know friends. Travis and I, as he said, Ben, I'm such a bad gambler. It takes my brain a half a beat to remember if the plus or minus is good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad of a gambler I am. So we're kind of walking into this thing blind as well. There is a part of me that sees the DraftKings side of this, that sees this and says, man, it's not really in the spirit of the bet that there was no more you bet on a competition that was essentially over. Now, I do see the argument. The betting was open, and I just took advantage of the opportunity that was there for me. But there's this part of me that sees it as not being in the spirit of the competition. And I don't know why in a courtroom, I don't think that would win, but
I think that's a valid thing to bring up. And I think that's exactly probably what DraftKings is going to say. But my thing is, when he placed that bet, we had no idea if the PGA was going to open up that fourth round. And like I told you, if there would have been one swing into the fourth round and then he lost, they would have taken his money. So we didn't know. He didn't know. I mean, it's all about odds. He's guessing.
Yeah,
well, in a lot of golf tournaments, they'll push that final round to a Monday and play it, right? I mean, there's still the possibility of that, which is fascinating. You mentioned other people reaching out to you. Does this become a class action suit to where a bunch of people jump on and they go after DraftKings?
Without getting into too many legal crap, I really don't see this turning into a class action. Not because we don't have the numbers of people, but there's some very specific requirements in order to get a class action going. One is like the bet amounts would have to be kind of similar, and we have so many varying amounts from like 50 grand to 14, 6 mil, and I don't think there's enough. It doesn't really make sense just from a boring legal perspective. I don't even think the court would certify a class action in this scenario, but I think they all have their own individual bets. So I don't see it going class action. Those are kind of hard to make happen.
I brought up a settlement earlier. Do you think this sees the courtroom, or does this get settled before it goes to court?
Well, I can't comment on what, if any, conversations I'm having with DraftKings, because those would be confidential. But with that being said, as you mentioned, most cases don't go to trial. I mean, the vast majority of cases settle. if there's a fair resolution that happens, I would be thrilled. If there isn't, I'm ready to go to trial, and I'm ready to have my day in court for my client. So I don't take cases unless I'm ready to go to court on it, unless I'm willing to go to court on it. And this is one of those that I would be willing to.
I'm telling you, with that mustache and that man bun, man, you're going to walk into court and you are going to intimidate people.
In, they're going to go, you know what? Give the guy, it's over.
Just give the guy the 14 mil. We're going to call it quits.
I'd be okay with that.
It sounds like your client's done a lot of research for you. Are you giving him a break on your hourly fee? Like, okay, well, you've done this. I'm just going to knock this off.
No.
Say no.
No. Well, and the reason why is because I mentioned earlier that something like this hasn't happened before, but this is almost what we call in the legal community like an issue of first impression. There's not a lot of court history that we can look back on this. Sports betting has only been legal for a certain amount of time, so we've invested a lot of hours into this. And if we lose, I'm not going to make anything. So there's the risk there that I don't really, this is no man's land. I'm getting calls from lawyers saying, talk to me about this, because nobody really knows. The judges probably don't understand this. It's just a new area of law. So I think
is that called case law, when you're able to reference previous cases and there's no real precedent?
There's nothing. There's not a single case on point to this specific issue ever. It's just too new.
Wow. I know DraftKings and that has an Iowa subsidiary. I forget what it's called. But does the Iowa Gaming Commission get involved with this at all? Do you bring them into this?
No, we don't sue the Iowa Gaming Commission. We sue essentially the Iowa corporation acting on behalf of DraftKings in each individual state. And in Iowa, I think it's called Crown Gambling or something or other. But we sued the Iowa corporation and the home headquarters. But no, we don't sue the Gaming Commission. They're kind of like a third-party investigating agency, so they don't really have any relevance as a defendant in this case.
But they want to make sure that stuff's on the up and up. I mean, they're going to be paying attention to this, right? Because I mean, they want gambling to succeed, but they also want it to be fair for people who do place bets. I would think they would be interested in this case.
I mean, that's technically their mission. Yes.
That's their stated mission on paper.
Technically,
that's what they write on the internet.
I just think to myself, who wants to be the Gaming Commission that's going to, kind of push a sports book out of the state that's bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. Like, that's kind of a public policy thing. It's like, do you rock the boat? Like, I'm sure people are loving that tax money. So I'm not talking crap about them, but I think they're in a tough position. They've kind of put their hands up and just like, you guys, like, I think the courts are the right way to do this, not really the Iowa Gaming Commission.
Ben, let me go. So let's go back to that case law thing and kind of setting precedent and the possibility of a settlement, because it would seem to me as we're kind of walking through this, the Iowa Gaming Commission, all of these different gambling entities would really benefit from there being a settlement here and not allowing something to get set as a precedent for when you don't pay off a bet, the state can have this sort of recourse on you. So am I wrong?
No, you're so spot on, because if this ever goes to trial, or if there's public filings and a court says, that DraftKings or any defendant really, they always file what's called like a motion to dismiss or a motion for summary judgment prior to trial. And that's pretty much saying, Judge, even if all the facts are true, this argument fails on a legal perspective because X, Y, and Z. And then the judge says, yep, we're kicking it out, or nope, we're going to trial. And if the judge would say, nope, we're going to trial, that would be public record forever. And then any other similar situated person can look back at that pleading, or a jury trial where the jury says, Nick Babas gets $14 million. That will be public forever. If we settle the case, there's usually, it's usually NDAs and things like that signed. That way everything just goes away. So the public would really never know the details, and I would never be able to talk about it. So it could look like
you'll get a new car out of the deal. I promise you that. You'll be driving a nice car.
Well, no, there will be signs.
Nick's driving a Porsche. What the heck?
His mustache somehow got better. What the hell happened? Ben, are you a Des Moines guy? Because we've had some listeners write in about that you're a great guy. Apparently some of our listeners are familiar with you. Are you a Central Iowa native or?
I grew up in Northeast Iowa, a small little town, and I moved to Des Moines in 2013 for law school. So I've been here for 12 years. I went to Drake, and then I practiced for a couple of years after law school, and then I started up my own shop. We have our 5-year anniversary in a month or two. So I'm a solo practitioner, a little bit of support staff, but really I just run my own show, and it's Ben Lynch Law. That's what I do. So I take cases that are fun and interesting to me, and I kind of do whatever gets me excited to get out of bed in the morning.
What's the most fun case you've had that you could talk to us about?
Honestly, this one's got to be.
This one's it. Yeah,
it feels
pretty cool.
It feels like I'm kind of betting myself. Like it's kind of thrilling. Like it's a really fun and interesting deal. So I've had a lot of fun with this. Just working with Nick has been a joy, and it's been a lot of fun. I love sports. I was watching you guys before I came on here, and I jive with everything you guys talk about. It's a really cool show, and I never even heard of you guys before, but this is cool.
Are you kidding me?
Where the hell have you been?
Yeah.
You know what? Where's the end button? How do we?
Yeah, geez.
Love sports. Love. Like I said, I don't really bet, but it's been my own little form of betting. So it's been fun. It's been super, super fun.
And
now we need to blame. And Travis, now we need to blame some of our listeners, like Scott Cronbaugh, who says, "Hey, I tailgate with Ben. He's a great dude." Scott, how the hell you haven't told Ben about us yet? Son of a.
Yeah, you're supposed to spread the word. I mean, we've only been on together for 15 years.
All right, so Ben, what do we got to do to get our names into this lawsuit in some way? Can we become part of the public record? We really want. No.
Start placing some bets, and if you get screwed over, I guess call.
So we have an expert that is a doctor, and Dr. Sullivan over at DEMOS. We're always going to need a lawyer expert when it comes up to stuff. We won't pay you, but will you be our lawyer expert?
Sure. As long bring me on here to talk about sports. I'm a huge Vikings fan, so we can spitball about the Vikings all day long.
You've had a rough life. You've had a rough life if you're a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
A lot of disappointment.
Truly.
All right, Ben. Ben Lynch Law is the website. That's benlynchlaw.com. He doesn't just do gambling cases. You do a lot of different cases. So if you need a lawyer, go to the guy with a great mustache, great man bun, because I can't grow something like that. And benlynchlaw.com is.
Ben, thanks a lot. This was awesome, man. Thank you for answering all of our questions. Good luck.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Yep. Ben Lynch joining us on the Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive. Has your mind changed?
Well, I'm
the
convinced
fact that they changed the rules after the fact.
That's a big red flag. The fact that all the other he's able to show that all of the other gambling sites had those rules in place. They had the foresight to say, "Hey, by the way, if weather happens, you can't do this." The fact that his client Nick had the foresight to get the rules before they changed them, and then be able to get the rules later and go, "Hey, look, here's the differences." I mean, again, attorneys are very good at this. They're very good at this. When you hear that, don't you go, well, that's watertight. You guys agreed to a contract. And I think the argument of what would have happened if they'd lost. It's like my buddy, one of my buddies wrote in and said, you know, it would if Nick would have been like super 4D chess type of thing, he would have placed one $5 bet on a guaranteed loser. And then that way, when they took his $5, you could go, well, look, guys took my $5.
A couple of things that came up in that conversation, and I could be wrong, but you brought up case law. This thing never sees the
never. And all of those other entities. I mean, dude, Prairie Meadows. Every single one of these has to be watching this case going, oh, because they all do the same thing. They all do the same thing. When they can, they wiggle their way out of paying those big things. They're just like the insurance companies.
And most people aren't like his client, Nick, who go, you know, if you get screwed out, well, you're not talking $14 million. You're talking probably $500-$600. And they go, screw it. You refund my bet. I'm not out anything. You're not going through. You lose $14 million and you're like, what just happened there? and your instinct goes, oh, I've been doing this a while. I'm going to download rules. I'm going to go through this like a fine-tooth comb. It's a contract. And the fact that if what Ben is saying is correct, and I have no reason not to believe him, that you've got rules on said date and rules said next date, and it doesn't look the same, that's what gives gambling a bad name. It just does.
Travis, dozens of other clients of people, not clients, dozens of other people have reached out to say same bet. Now, not in the $14 million range, but that's one event. That's the 2024 Pro-AM, dude. Imagine how you and I have both heard stories, and I can't think of any of them off the top of my head, but man, I'm on a gambling group that talks a lot about gambling, or on a text group that talks a lot about gambling. We could come on here. Those guys could share stories for days about things that have happened to them.
But a lot of people are in the, let's just not rock the boat. I want them to keep taking my bets. DraftKings would probably be like, here's a settlement, and you don't get a bet with us ever again.
And here's a non-disclosure, and shut your mouth about what we did.
Yes. Nice Lambo. Right? Oh, you got a new house. Oh, okay. He's doing all right.
That old thing. If I win the lottery, I won't tell anybody, but there will be signs.
What do you mean you retired?
Next time we talk to Ben, he's in a Miami high-rise.
Yeah.
Let's go to local expert. Where the hell are you? Is that South Beach? No, Abu Dhabi, guys.
All right, 515-517-2303. Write that number down. If you want to go to the Iowa Craft Beer Fest, send us a message on social media. And get creative. And if we like what you have to say, we'll send you a pair of tickets to the Iowa Craft Beer Fest. We're back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. It is the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.
Hey everybody, Mason Miller, sales manager out here at Mini of Des Moines. We got some great things going on this month. Right now you can lease a brand new Countryman for as low as $369 a month for 39 months. Also, we're running a 3.99% at up to 60 on all models, excluding the convertible. Also, you can lease a new two-door hardtop as low as $299 a month lease. If you have any other questions, come visit your favorite motoring advisor or visit us online at miniofdesmoines.com.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's 25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Are you thinking about buying a home this year? Start by getting pre-approved with Gary Presnall at Northwest Bank in Des Moines to see how much you can qualify for and what loan programs meet your needs. Gary can get you pre-approved in 30 minutes or less with a pre-approval letter to you. Gary offers first-time homebuyers programs, VA loans along with FHA, IFA, and conventional loans. Call Gary at 515-975-6767 or find his profile at nw.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Spring is here. It's pothole season. Potholes can wreak havoc on your suspension and alignment. If you come into Willis Chevrolet during the month of May and mention this video, we'll check your alignment for free and give you $30 off if you need one. Give us a call or schedule online today at willischevy.com.
Bread is made from scratch, freshly baked with locally sourced ingredients and love. At Big Sky Bakery, we take great pride in our delicious products. We know you'll enjoy them almost as much as we enjoy baking them. Find us at the downtown Des Moines Farmers Market every Saturday.
Back to the Rush. Strong opinions, weak filters, and just enough sense to stay on the air. It's the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive.